Hello, this is Wellner Anderson again with Wellner Anderson. Today we're going to talk about a book that I read a while ago, and we're also going to talk about why it's important to keep your money in your community. We are going to use the Afro-American case for that. The book that I am going to talk about was inspired by a study called the Empowerment Project. That project took place in 2009, and the project was sponsored by a woman who I admired, Maggie Anderson. She was in the Chicago area. Maggie got a lot of hate mail because she simply wanted to build an opportunity for money to stay in her community. Out of the Empowerment Project emerged the book. This book was published in 2012, and the book was called Our Black Year. The book had good content in it. What she found is she found in the Chicago area one black-owned cleaner and one black-owned supermarket. So what she did is she put a coalition of 4,000 people together, and they bought black for a year. Some of the numbers that you hear on how long money stays in a community, in her book, she recalls that the documentation that is going to be stated was released by the NAACP. This is what she published. The dollar stays in the Asian community for 30 days. The dollar stays in the Jewish community for 20 days. The dollar stays in the white community for 17 days. But the dollar stayed in the black community for 6 hours. But guess what? That's not possible. The federal government does not have any method at all at judging the race in where dollars are being generated, which means there is no way you can tell how long a dollar stays in the community. But outside of that, it's a good book. The reason why I'm saying this is if you had seen my first YouTube video, I promised you I would bring you the facts and I would bring it to you in a way you could understand it. The basis behind this is that even though you read something that's supposedly documented, it may not be true. Now let me take a moment and let's talk about some successful black communities in the past. And the reason why I cite them is because they no longer exist in the vein that they did, starting with the Harlem Renaissance in 1920. Harlem was one of the meccas of the world. There were black businesses, there were white businesses, there were jobs, there were musicians, artisans, Shriver's Road, Sugar Hill, and plenty of black businesses then. By 1960, they were gone. In Rosewood, Florida, there was a group of black people that put together a town, a very successful black town. This is in 1923. The town, one day, was totally destroyed. And there were some deaths in that location. That's the second case where black communities had gotten together and fend for themselves. The third case is the most famous case. And that's Greenwood in Tulsa, Alabama, better known to you as the Black Wall Street. The Black Wall Street was a consortium of black businesses in Tulsa. There was an incident. From the incident, all of Tulsa in Greenwood was destroyed. They actually used airplanes to drop bombs on people. So what do we get out of this? In 1935, Franklin Delano Roosevelt opened the Federal Housing Authority. The actual first, as we know, project was built in 1935. It was called Teakwood Homes. But what I want to talk about is a couple of incidents that totally destroyed the black community and did not allow for money to circulate there. There was a place in 1954 called Pruitt-Igoe. Pruitt-Igoe is in St. Louis. It was actually designed by the same man who designed the World Trade Center. It was a 33-home development. Within 17 years, it was totally demolished. In 1957, Dwight D. Eisenhower put together the Federal Highway Act. How that happened with him is when he was younger and he was in the service, I believe in 1919, he took a trip across the United States and it took him over 60 days to go from the East Coast to the West Coast. So, Eisenhower knew the need of roads for national defense and to build the nation's commerce. However, from the Highway Act of 1957, it was judged, you read between the lines, they said that they had identified low-value communities to build the highways through. Now, what does low-value communities sound like to you? Sounds like black. And that's true. Even, I'm a Bronx boy. Around the time when I was a little kid, they built the Cross Bronx Expressway. And that ruined so many neighborhoods. And is one of the principal reasons why the Bronx is where it's at today. And of course it's redlining. The strange thing I said in the 60s is when things started to change. But in the 60s, there was civil rights, integration, white flight, affirmative action, busing, welfare reform, public housing. How much does that really help us? If before these things happened, we were prosperous, and then after these things happened in the 60s, we were poor. The next episode I'm going to bring you is going to be from a very famous doctor. It's called From Here to Equality, Reparations for Black Americans in the 21st Century. It is written by my friend William Darity and Kirsten Mullen. And they are going to be on a Zoom broadcast very shortly. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this book in my next broadcast. Let me save the thunder. Have a good day.